Call the meeting to order.
I apologize, I don't have meeting packets for today. I'm sorry, but I do have some things that we can go over if you want. As we spoke at the last meeting, we went through the requirements for MSBA for a fail vote. So we owe MSBA a response by Friday, the 31st. That basically means that we have to give them what the vote was. We have to give them a reason, or why we think the reason is for the failed vote, and if we plan to withdraw, or if there is any plans to go back out for another vote, or if we decide to move forward in a slightly altered fashion. The issue with moving forward in a slightly altered fashion is that if there is a substantial change to either of the projects that were approved by MSBA, they could themselves decide that you have to start back at the beginning because it's so substantially different that they would want to start their whole review and vetting process again. Because as you know, as we went through every step of the process, MSBA's team of consultants and professionals also vetted everything that we did. So they wouldn't just automatically approve another direction without taking a step back and starting the process again, so that they would be able to get their team of consultants on board and reviewing it and approving it, and it would have to go before the MSBA board again for another approved vote if there is a substantial change. With the outcome of the vote, it's likely that you're probably not going to try to go out for another vote. I mean, usually they do that sometimes when the vote's close, and you know, maybe you can get the, you know, more people to participate in the vote and there's a chance. But in the way that the election came out, that's probably unlikely. We did spend some time over the past week putting together, you know, options. Majority of them, you know, I think there's three here that wouldn't be considered a change at all. But again, it has to do with the same line of cost, and that appears to be an issue as well with the voters. So I'm just going to quickly go through them. If anybody wants to discuss them, we can, but the option one, like I said, is to withdraw. Option two is to try to redo the process and re-vote. That's again likely going to come out with the same outcome, and because it'll probably throw our schedule off, we would have to inflate the cost for escalation by 4%. So that puts the actual total project cost higher than what we went out for the original vote on. But that is one of the options. Option three is to try to split it into two phases, and that would require asking MSBA for a longer time frame for construction, and allowing one school to move forward, and you know, then lagging with the second school, and that is to hopefully go through and get all the permitting processes and everything in place, and maybe appease people that there's nothing happening on the reservoir site itself in terms of environmental issues. But again, that would require inflating escalating costs, because that would put us on a much longer construction time frame, and it would also require that MSBA take a look at their money appropriations and how they split out their money. It would make a change for them, and that would be something that they would have to buy into. Again, it's more money, and I'm not sure it's a feasible option, but it is another option. The next few options is a change to the whole educational program, but it does give you an avenue in which to, and maybe let me just, instead of everybody just looking at me, I can pass this out. The next few options ends up with, option 4 is to build the new McManus School, and renovate to a certain extent the existing Pickering School. But you have to remember on this one, the costs are pretty high on this as well, because the cost of doing any renovations at Pickering is all on the city's dime. So while it's a little, it comes in a little bit cheaper than 2 new schools, it actually increases the city's participation by about $12 million or so. And it still ends up with you were going to use the existing Pickering to accommodate some of the overflow elementary school capacity, and this doesn't allow you to do that. So that's why you see the red that says 600 people short on the elementary school side. So while it would cover your middle school needs, it doesn't help you accommodate your elementary school needs, whereas the 2 new schools did. And then option 5 is just looking at the West Lynn School at McManus and still using Pickering for elementary school capacity. What we would have to do is increase the student enrollment at West Lynn, and we would have to increase the student enrollment at Thurgood Marshall. And what that would mean is all the 5th major classrooms would have to be used as clusters. We'd have to fit out 1 more science room at Thurgood Marshall, and we'd have to add an additional science room at the West Lynn Middle School. Which would mean instead of 1,100 student schools, these would be 1,440 student schools, and we would only minimally be able to reduce capacity or this current enrollment at Breed. So we're really not going to be able to bring Breed up to the same parity as the new schools, Thurgood Marshall or West Lynn, if this gets built. So you wouldn't be able to bring those programs, maybe a few of them back, but we'd still need to use those classrooms for, those spaces for classrooms instead. But it does lower the population at Breed by 260, which helps a little bit and starts to give back some space at the Breed Middle School. The other one is, the next couple get us to the cheapest solution for the city, but still has the opposition of the people that don't want the schools built at Parkland. And again, these would be increasing the capacity of Thurgood Marshall and West Lynn, and just building 1 school. And these can get the city share down to between 36 and 40 million. And then the last one is option 6 is building the bigger school that was going to go at McManus Field at Parkland, and option 7 is building the Pickering plan at Parkland only, which really leaves us short, even with increasing capacity at Thurgood Marshall and not reducing any capacity at Breed. We're still about 320 people short at the middle school level. But then that gets it into a range of 37 to 40 million for a city share. None of these really are optimal. I mean, there's not one that you could say, oh yeah, we can make this work. I think that you have to ask the question, because obviously a debt exclusion doesn't appear to be something that the city can pass at this point in time. And with that being said, you know, it kind of puts you down to the two options that have the least city share, and you'd have to look at whether or not you could actually accommodate that within your existing debt service. And if you could, even at that, because they're both at Parkland, because that's the easiest site to, and the least costliest site to build on, can you even get it passed based on the opposition? So, you know, and then going back to try to find another site altogether, your only option to really do that is to withdraw and restart the process. So, you know, if we're going to try to go out and do eminent domain on other properties and, you know, try to find other locations to put the schools, it would be another process. And as you know, we looked at all of the available sites that made sense geographically from an educational standpoint. And to go back out and start that search again would be a substantial change based on the amount of review process and everything that we went through on the sites that we had. MSBA would want to start the process again so they could be involved with the whole site selection process like last time. It's not to say that we couldn't try to put, you know, ask them to somehow help us modify their process a little bit in order to move down another path. But the language is pretty clear. Any substantial change, I mean, some of these we could say, well, it's not really substantial, although they could also view it as substantial. But because we vetted the sites and we vetted the educational plans, they may give us some leniency in terms of what is substantial in regards to the work that we've already done. But to start all over again with a site selection process, they would more than likely, we can ask, but they will more than likely say that you would have to start the whole SOI process and start again. So in a nutshell, those are the options that we sat down and kind of went through and looked at what we could come up with based on what we've currently submitted and had approved by MSBA, and how we could manipulate that into a direction that we could make an argument to MSBA that it's not substantially different to the point that we would have to start the whole process over again. So, I mean,
if we start the whole process over again, that's 2 years to get to the point where we are now in the second process, if they approve us in the next round.
If they approve us at the very next opportunity for them to approve SOIs, and that would mean that if you scurried and quickly got an SOI in for, I think it's April 7th.
We couldn't get the votes in by that time, considering.
One question, how are you accommodating these students now that you're supposedly short of?
Excuse me, not public hearing.
What's?
It's not
A public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I do want to ask if I can make a motion to suspend the rules. Don Castro is here. He organized the opposition. He has stated that he has an alternate plan. So before we go on to deliberate and discuss, I'd like to move that we give him 10 minutes to present to the school building committee, whatever that plan might be.
I would defer to you, Mayor. I wasn't planning on speaking today. I didn't speak to you since I called you earlier today, so
Yeah, well, I
I thought
tried
have to
there'd
do the
be
motion.
I thought there'd be a plan on the table today, so I'm going to wait and see what you decide. Thank you.
Oh, you made the motion, okay?
Yes.
All in favor?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion.
I did try to call you back twice, your mailbox was full, you didn't answer either time, so.
I'm just here observing like every other taxpayer. I'm not sure.
You don't want the floor?
No, I don't. Thank you, no.
Okay. Then I don't know if I have to withdraw the motion or it just goes away. Okay. I, for one, if I can speak to us on the options available to us. People spoke loud and clear. I think the problem is the price tag, and I'm just ready to drop the whole thing. The people had a vote on it, one vote, one person, direct democratic process, and I think we just start at the beginning when there is a better will to build these schools. Nothing's going to change in the next several months. We all know that all of the other sites were not appropriate. And I just don't see, what is that saying? Insanity is doing the same thing again and expecting different results. I think that's what we would be doing if we took anything other than that approach.
Well, quickly, when we started to look at these, to find other sites that were appropriate for the geographical locations of the feeder zones for the schools, you're going to end up with sites that you're going to have to take by eminent domain, and the price tag is going to continue to go up. And even trying to redo the process that that's already gotten us to this point in time, it's going to be an escalation factor. So the price is only, of even keeping it the same has only gone up. So, unless a one school option works, or is a stopgap for you, and that's something that you think you can support from a city share, maybe, I'm not sure, other than starting the whole process over with MSBA, so that maybe something changes. I don't know.
I make a motion to withdraw our application from the MSBA, exercise option 1.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Yeah, we have kids that are coming up that will have no seats for schools, in Westland in particular.
That was addressed last Tuesday when city voters voted against the schools. That was their choice, and unfortunately, any vehicle we drive has to go through the voters for their approval. Disapproval has been given. I don't see, given our options here, as tight as they are, in the time frame being as tight as it is, that history is going to rewrite itself in the next month. So that's why I made the motion that I did. It's unfortunate. I don't relish doing it, but I also don't want to waste the time of everybody at this table and untold thousands of dollars to rewrite applications that are going to eventually fail. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I'd like just to say that I think the committee did the job that was required of us. We were told that we needed to provide school space for 1,600 people. That's what we did. And we did an exhaustive search for the sites in the city. We came up with the best sites, the least expensive sites for the city in order to make the projects viable. And I was thinking today, in the mid-90s, I ran for a charter commission, and I served as its chairman. And we worked hard on the charter for 2 years. And we had some controversial things in our proposal. Don't seem very controversial now. One was to institute a 4-year term for mayor. And the other one was consolidation of city departments in order to make government run more smoothly. We had an election where 18,000 people voted, and we lost by 66 votes. So we were very depressed with that outcome. But it wasn't many years later that some of the provisions that we had in the charter came to fruition, such as the 4-year term of mayor, consolidation of city departments. There were other things that happened. So while we had a loss, some good things came of it, and I feel that I agree with this motion because there's not much more we can do. We don't have the time to do it. We did our best. I think we did a great job, and I think the consultants that we hired performed over and above what the expectations were. So we did the best we could for the city, and I'm sure that sometime in the not too distant future, this will be taken up again, and it may not look like the product we produced, but it's got to happen at some point.
I hope so. Any other discussion?
I want to, prior to this vote, because I'm heartbroken that we can't get schools for our children. We have a model school at Marshall, soon to be a model school for the MSBA for the entire state. I was hoping that just viewing that could carry and equalize opportunities for the students. But such is not the case.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.